Okay, so let's talk about sepsis. It's a word that gets thrown around, but what does it really mean? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain and go deep inside the brand new international guidelines, the ones that are completely changing how we fight this silent global killer.
So, why is this such a big deal? Let's just start with a number. 13 million die. That is how many people die from sepsis-related causes every single year. Think about that for a second. That's like wiping out the entire population of some countries every single year. It's just staggering.
So what is sepsis, really? Well, the textbook definition is right there. But let's put it simply. It's your body's response to an infection going into absolute overdrive. Instead of just fighting off the germs, your immune system gets confused and starts attacking your own tissues and organs. That's when things get life-threatening.
All right, here's our game plan for today. First, we'll talk about why sepsis is a global emergency. Then, we'll get into the playbook that's designed to fight it. We'll decode what the recommendations actually mean, see how it all works when the clock is ticking, and finally, touch on the long road to recovery.
Okay, first up, you have to understand that this isn't just some isolated issue. This is a full-blown global emergency, and it's going to take a unified, worldwide response to make a dent.
The numbers are just mind-boggling. We're talking about almost 49 million cases a year, 13 million deaths. It's one of the top killers in hospitals all over the world. But you know, the story doesn't even end there. If you survive, the fight is often far from over. Many people are left with new or worse physical, cognitive, and even mental health issues.
So how in the world do we fight back against something this huge? Well, you do it with a playbook. And that's exactly what these Surviving Sepsis Campaign guidelines are. They take all the best, cutting-edge science and turn it into clear, actionable advice for the doctors and nurses on the front lines. And you know, this wasn't just thrown together. This playbook is the real deal, a massive global collaboration. We're talking about a 69-person committee from 23 different countries. And they even brought in patient and family advisors. But here's the part that really stands out. Zero industry funding. In medicine, that is a huge game changer. It means every single piece of advice is independent, it's based purely on the evidence. And when lives are on the line, that kind of integrity is, well, it's everything. Now this is where it gets really interesting. We're going to decode these recommendations because, and this is super important, not all medical advice is created equal. Let's learn how to read this thing like a pro. Right? That's the key question. Imagine you're a busy doctor in the ER. You've got a document with over 100 recommendations. How do you know which ones are absolute must-do life-saving steps and which ones are more of a, hey, you should probably think about this? The answer is right here, in this simple symbol key. It's like a visual language. You see those green check marks, the red X's? They're designed to tell a clinician, at a glance, how strong the evidence is. It's a brilliant shorthand for making incredibly high-stakes decisions fast.
Let's break it down. On one side, you have a strong recommendation. When the guideline says we recommend, that's code for the science is clear, nearly every patient should get this. It's pretty black and white. But on the other side, a conditional recommendation uses the phrase we suggest. That's a signal that things are a bit more nuanced. The right call might depend on the patient, their situation. It's where a real conversation between doctor and patient becomes crucial.
And this isn't just someone's opinion. This distinction between recommend and suggest comes from this incredibly rigorous process called the GRADE methodology. I mean, just look at this flowchart. Experts sift through all the research, they weigh the good against the bad, and only then do they decide how strong to make the recommendation. It's a ton of work, all boiled down to one trustworthy signal.
They even standardize the language for the diagnosis itself. So if a doctor says definite sepsis, they're rock solid sure. Probable sepsis, it's the #1 suspect. And possible sepsis means it's in the running, but other things could be going on too. Having everyone speak the same language like this is absolutely vital when every second counts.
Okay, so let's put this all together. Let's see how this playbook actually works in the heat of the moment. We're diving into the critical first hours of care when you are truly racing the clock. Here it is, a strong recommendation in action. Recommendation number 16. It says for anyone with probable or definite sepsis, you give them antimicrobials, antibiotics, immediately, ideally within 1 hour. See that? The green check mark, the strong rating, the high certainty evidence, it all screams one thing. Do this, now. No hesitation. The clock is ticking.
But the fight doesn't just stop when the patient is stable. Sepsis leaves a mark. So the guidelines also look at what comes next, the long road to recovery. This shows just how comprehensive this thing is.
Now compare that last one to this. Recommendation 125. For survivors, they suggest offering follow-up services.
Notice the difference? It's a conditional recommendation. The evidence is low certainty. Now, this doesn't mean follow-up is a bad idea. Of course not. It just means the best way to do it might be different for every person and every hospital. It calls for a custom-fit approach, not a one-size-fits-all rule.
And really, those two examples perfectly show the incredible scope of this playbook. It's not just about the first hour, it covers the entire patient journey, from the moment someone walks in the door all the way through to helping them get their life back.
So here we are. We've got this incredible, evidence-backed roadmap to save lives, to improve people's futures. It's a genuinely powerful playbook. But it leaves us with one final massive question, right? How do we actually get this knowledge off the page and into the hands of every single doctor, every nurse, in every hospital, for every patient who desperately needs it? That is the next great challenge.